The soft glow of fairy lights twinkled above me, casting a gentle warmth over the table and making the whole evening feel a little bit magical. I was surrounded by laughter and the familiar faces of my family as I celebrated my 27th birthday, a milestone that felt both ordinary and special. We'd chosen a fancy Italian restaurant in downtown Chicago, its windows overlooking the city lights, the clink of glasses and soft music adding to the sense of occasion. My parents, Mark and Susan, always loved to celebrate in style. They had a flair for making every event feel grand, always putting on a good show and making sure everyone felt special. As I looked at them across the table, I felt a deep sense of gratitude for their unwavering support and the simple, independent life I'd managed to build for myself. As a graphic designer in the city, my days were filled with creative work designing, sketching and collaborating with clients. My nights were spent in a cozy apartment I shared with my best friend, Sarah, where laughter and late-night talks made even the smallest moments feel meaningful. My parents often praised my self-sufficiency, and I took real pride in never needing to ask for their help, feeling accomplished in my own right. They lived comfortably in the suburbs, always seeming to have just enough for luxury cars, weekend getaways, and the little indulgences that made life feel easy. I never questioned it. I believed in the story of our happy, ordinary family, trusting that what I saw was all there was. That night, everything felt perfect. Delicious food, easy conversation, and a sense of belonging that made me wish for more evenings, just like this, surrounded by love. I felt lucky and content, as if nothing could disturb the peace of our little world. I had no idea this would be the last peaceful moment before my world unraveled, and that everything I thought I knew about my family was about to change forever. My grandfather Walter was the family's silent pillar. Old money, sharp and intimidating, we saw him only at holidays, where he watched us with those piercing blue eyes. He believed in legacy and hard work, setting up trust funds for his grandchildren to access. At 30, my parents always downplayed the trust, insisting I focus on my own path. I respected my grandfather, but never felt close. He was a distant, powerful figure. Our conversations were brief, mostly about my career and independence. My parents played the part of the perfect, self-sufficient family for him. Looking back, I see how carefully they managed his perception and mine. They knew what he valued and hid the truth behind bright smiles. I lived proudly on the other side of their deception, never suspecting a thing. The foundation of our family was not what it seemed. The restaurant's hum was interrupted when the maitre d' led my grandfather Walter to our table. His presence was unexpected, and it immediately shifted the atmosphere. His surprise appearance sent a visible shock through my parents. They exchanged worried glances, clearly unprepared for this encounter. He greeted me with a curt happy birthday, then turned to my parents, his presence heavy with unspoken tension. The air grew thick with unease. He explained he was in the city for a meeting and decided to stop by. His tone was casual, but his eyes were sharp, observing every reaction after a strained silence. He looked at me and asked, "How are you enjoying the apartment?" I was confused. What apartment? My mind raced to make sense of his words. He pressed the condo on the Gold Coast I purchased for your trust. You should have moved in by now, and the trust fund itself transferred to you at 25. His words were like a puzzle, each piece revealing a new layer of mystery. Mark, Susan, you were the trustees. Everything handled correctly. His voice was calm, but the question carried a weight that made my parents visibly uneasy. My parents froze, faces drained of color. The tension was palpable, and I could feel my own anxiety rising. The table fell silent as his questions hung in the air. It felt like the calm before a storm, a moment of stillness before everything changed. My heart pounded as I tried to process his words. Trust fund, apartment trustees. It was all too much to take in at once. My parents' discomfort was unmistakable. They shifted in their seats, avoiding eye contact with both Walter and me. Walter's gaze was icy, his suspicion clear. He was not going to let this go without answers. I trust everything was handled correctly, he repeated. His voice was steady. But the underlying demand for truth was unmistakable. The world seemed to stop. Every second felt like an eternity. As we waited for someone to break the silence, I stared at my parents, searching for answers. Their faces were masks of fear and uncertainty. The truth was about to break through the surface. I could feel it like a wave ready to crash. My perfect life was suddenly full of cracks. The facade of our happy family was crumbling before my eyes. I realized I knew nothing about the reality behind my family's smiles. The truth was a stranger, and I was about to meet it. Silence gripped the table after my grandfather's question. A silence so heavy it seemed to press down on all of us, making it hard to breathe. The air was thick with dread, as if everyone knew that something irreversible was about to be revealed. My mother trembled, her hands shaking as she tried to hold back tears, while my father sat speechless, his eyes fixed on the table, unable to meet anyone's gaze. Grandpa Walter's calm authority was more terrifying than any outburst. His voice was steady, but his presence filled the room with an unspoken warning that there would be no escaping the truth tonight. My father tried to deflect, stammering excuses, but Walter insisted Caitlyn deserves an answer. Where is her trust fund? Where is the deed to her apartment? His questions cut through the room like a knife. Demanding honesty, my mother broke down, sobbing uncontrollably, her voice barely audible as she confessed. We needed it, the market crashed. We were going to pay it back. The confession was devastating, shattering the illusion of security I'd always believed in. My parents had stolen my future, using my trust to save themselves from ruin. The people I loved most had made me collateral damage. In their desperation, I sat frozen, the words echoing in my head, unable to process the betrayal that had just unfolded before me. Walter stood, voice trembling with rage. You stole from your own child. His anger was righteous, a rare crack in his usually composed demeanor. He placed a hand on my shoulder, his grip both reassuring and sorrowful. We will sort this out, Caitlyn, he promised, as if trying to shield me from the pain. Then he left, his footsteps echoing down the hallway, leaving me shattered at the table, surrounded by the fragments of my family's secrets. My birthday cake sat untouched as the truth settled in. Its candles unlit a symbol of the celebration that would never be. The family I trusted had betrayed me, and the pain of that realization was almost physical. A sharp ache in my chest, the life I cherished was built on a lie. Every happy memory, now tainted by the knowledge of what had been hidden from me. I was left in ruins, surrounded by the wreckage of my perfect evening. The laughter and joy replaced by heartbreak and disbelief. The reality was too much to bear, a weight pressing down on me, threatening to crush what little hope I had left. My parents' love had been a mask for their deception, their reassurances now sounding hollow and empty in my ears. I was alone in the aftermath, the house that once felt warm, now cold and unfamiliar, every shadow a reminder of what I'd lost. Everything had changed in an instant, and I was left to pick up the pieces of a life I no longer recognized. The car ride home was silent, the city lights blurring past as I sat numb in the back seat. The joy of my birthday was gone, replaced by a hollow ache. $8 million in apartment. A life I never knew I had gone. Stolen by my own parents at home. I finally broke, screaming, "How could you do this to me?" My mother sobbed. We were desperate. We thought we could fix it before you ever had to know. Their excuses, bad investments, keeping up appearances, rang hollow. It wasn't about survival. It was about pride and luxury. The betrayal cut deeper than money. Every word of praise, every encouragement was a lie to cover their tracks. They watched me struggle, forced me to work for every dollar while they spent my future. The anger inside me erupted. Trust was shattered. My parents' actions had hollowed me out. I was left with nothing but the weight of their lies. The days that followed blurred into meetings with lawyers and accountants. My grandfather acted swiftly, uncovering a decade-long pattern of theft. The story of a desperate act was a lie. My parents had drained my trust fund for years. The money funded their luxury cars, vacations, even my birthday dinner. My childhood, my family had been a facade. In the lawyer's office, my parents' excuses crumbled. My father blamed everyone but himself. My mother wept, repeating, "We love you." Their words meant nothing now. Of the $8 million in the apartment, almost nothing remained. Less than $50,000 was left. The dream of repayment was a fantasy. My future had been squandered on their vanities. The loss was suffocating. I could barely breathe under the weight of what they'd done. The fallout was immediate. Our family shattered. My grandfather initiated legal action driven by principle. Not just money. He left the decision to press criminal charges to me, a burden I could hardly process. The family split. Some supported me. Others accused me of tearing us apart. They didn't understand it was never just about the money. My cousin Alex became my fiercest ally, checking in daily, his support a lifeline. The emotional toll was immense anger. Grief and guilt gnawed at me. Shame followed me everywhere. I felt exposed by my parents' betrayal. I withdrew from judgmental relatives, clinging to the support of Sarah and Alex. Sarah reminded me my life was real, my accomplishments my own, but trust in family was gone. I looked at everyone with suspicion. The betrayal had changed me forever. In the months that followed, I faced a choice: let the betrayal destroy me or move forward. The legal battle dragged on, but I chose not to press criminal charges. I needed distance, not revenge. I cut off contact with my parents. Forgiveness a distant dream. I poured myself into work, rebuilding my life on my own terms. Every dollar earned felt more real than the millions lost. My bond with Alex and Sarah deepened. They became my chosen family. We celebrated small victories, teaching me that family is about loyalty, not blood. My grandfather and I grew closer. Our relationship built on new respect. Slowly, I learned to trust myself again. Therapy helped me unpack the pain and see my parents' actions as their own brokenness. Step by step, I reclaimed pieces of myself. The journey was hard, but I was finding my way back. Now, in my own apartment, I look back on that birthday not with pain, but with the strength of survival. Anger and grief linger, but they no longer define me. I learned true wealth is integrity, honest relationships, and self-reliance. My parents chose things over their child. I chose myself. My life is simpler but richer because it's real. I'm more cautious but not closed off. My chosen family, Sarah, Alex, and even my grandfather, showed me true support. This story isn't about money. It's about the cost of a lie and the power of truth. I lost the parents I thought I knew, but I found myself in a resilience I never imagined. The fire of betrayal forged me into someone stronger, wiser, and finally truly free.